like a kind of two-way thing. So I started working with quite colourful cards. The envelopes weren't colourful, and I made set 10 cards. Went to my local shop, just had them printed on like printed.com, like literally no idea what the heck I was doing. Went into this shop and I was like, a shop that I shopped in locally, and said, would you stock these cards? And she went, oh, I like the designs, but they're not quite good enough quality. So she's like, if they were better quality, then I would. And I was like, well, that's quite good because I've got a hook there. So I went home and like made them better quality. I went back, I was like, you said you would stock them? And she's like, yes, I absolutely will. And she stocked them, and it was like my first stockist. So from then on, I just built like a micro market, which is basically just a small number of stockists or business or clients within a small area. And once that works, then the word of mouth spreads, or actually in my case, word of mouth isn't massively helpful. It works, but it's not my main source of sort of marketing. So I had to kind of really go out and peddle the streets and talk to people. Like going into shops and saying, hi, I'm Emily, and these are my cards, and doing a lot of the groundwork. So I started with cards. I had a collection of 10 to begin with. That grew over time. Stockists grew, and then in January 2018 I did my first trade show, which was like so expensive. You probably know, I don't know if you've done bridal trade shows before, I'm not sure, but that's a whole world.
Yeah, I don't like to go.
Yeah, you don't need to. You don't need to. You're good.
Yeah, I know about them.
Yeah, it's a similar thing, I guess, for retail, and so it was really brilliant. I landed like I decided I was going to do it. I was going to go big or go home. So I had the stand painted in full colour, and by then I kind of had a real feeling of what was working through Instagram. People were engaging with Instagram's great because, like with any social media, you get like free market research because people are engaging with what they like. So if there's an emotional response, you can say, oh, okay, and it's not about like diluting yourself, but you're finding the parts of what you're doing that work and then doing more of that. So it's actually been really interesting because it's actually grown me, whereas it's like a vicious cycle. So the more people liked colour and worked with colour and engaged with colour, the more that I loved it, it changed me, and then it was kind of, that sort of took off. So the trade show went brilliantly. I've got some pictures actually, I'll show you afterwards, but it was the first time I felt serious, people took me seriously, and I definitely would suggest that it's within your business over the next however long, doing something that, whether it's charging for clients, whether it's like say, actually I'm not going to do this for free, I'm going to do it at an industry rate, or it's turning up at a trade show, or it's like putting on an event that's with a certain guild or institute or whatever it might be that in your industry has got a real standard of reputation. I just felt like I arrived on the scene. It was like they take me seriously, and that was really good. Did something for my own confidence. So I brought one girl in to help me for that, and then she stayed on, so that was great. She stayed on to help me sort of with day-to-day stuff, and I couldn't afford her, but I knew that if I paid her now, I knew the business would grow, and then I could afford her, and that's kind of what happened. So that, yeah, and then I was doing a lot of cold contacting people on stalking online. I was like literally Googling Liberty buyer name and then looking at articles online, finding the name, finding pictures of them, finding them on Facebook, finding them on Instagram, literally just proper stalking. Got that bit, didn't you? And then like you find the right email address, and I would call somebody, I would never call somebody, I'm terrible on the phone. I would DM somebody and say like, I'm sure you knew somebody at Liberty used to work there, or like, I'm sure you knew somebody at Ralph Lauren, yeah. Maybe, and just said like, do you know their email address, for the format of their email address? So I would find the format of the email address and then put the person's name and yeah. So it's kind of one of those things people do in sales. But I'd never done anything like that before, like sales stuff, like pushing yourself out there. I had done a lot of pitching for film, but that's quite different. So I did it like an email, and I kind of learned how to do the best way. And basically, while we're on it, very much visual. So most of my email was just pictures. It's really not any text whatsoever. It was maybe this much text. And I learned that worked really, really well. And I put videos sometimes, and I had a picture of me in it, which is really weird, but it worked really well. And it wasn't necessarily like a selfie. It was like just a smile. Like I think that was literally it. They just like, oh, there's a warmth to this person. So often in stationery, you go on Instagram and you go on, and then it's beautiful stationery, but it's all flat layers of products, and I don't know who is this person. Like, I think that's the thing about Instagram is you get this whole, as you all know, you get the person, you get the brand, and I think what I've loved about breaking into the stationery world is that no one else does that. Like, no, it's a bit weird, and that's something within your industry. If it's a bit weird, go for it, because it'll make you stand out, definitely. So people wanted to know about the story behind the brand, and they bought into it. So I got some great stockists, which is really cool. Started stocking in Liberty and Pig Chase and Oliver Bonus and just really respected places. But like again, it's like you get that and you think, great, now I can sit back and enjoy. You're like, oh, I've actually got to like work really hard to get them to do another order, and I've got to then produce the order, and then you've got staff working on producing things, and you've got a warehouse, and so it's been quite an interesting learning experience. I've learned lots of different skills that I've never learned before. I'm now at a really exciting phase where I'm licensing, which basically means that I am continuing my brand as it is, but I'm growing it to where I'm the designer, which is great, but I get another company or another as many times as it has succeeded. I promise. Like I've had, there's a Stylist Live event, and I really wanted to do a talk there. God knows why, but I was like, I'm going to do it. I think it's amazing. And then I, emailed, and they got back to me, and they had a meeting with me, and it was really exciting. And then it didn't happen. But the fact that it was like, I'm going to try and make this happen. That's the sort of initiative behind it. And when it has worked, it's been brilliant. So with the licensing, I had this idea about I'm going to do it, and I'm going to have this brand profile, and I kind of know the lingo now, and I've got a book full of notes of how I do it all. And then it was like, how do I meet these people? So licensees are basically companies that you would see at trade shows. They're huge stands, and they're really professional, really, really overwhelmingly scary people. And they stand there, and they're like, you literally walk up, and they're like, they're just so scary. And so they're just really professional. They're good at what they do. And people like John Lewis and House Fraser and massive giant distributors around the world come and what people like, and you hone it and you really sort of start to solidify that. And for me, I would say it's the style, the style of illustrations, the block colour, and sort of uplifting, sort of positive nature of it. But then you have to find your extras, and I think these are things that now brands are really looking for. So you may well be a bridal company, but what makes you stand out from all the other bridal companies next to you? So it's like, and it's something you can't force, but I think that it happens naturally. So as I started to do it, so I wasn't on Insta stories or anything at the beginning at all, but as I started to kind of get my confidence with my work, I started to feel this urge to share elements of myself or parts of myself that were naturally kind of coming to the surface more. So for example, my sister-in-law, she makes incredible gluten-free vegan brownies and sweet stuff, amazing. And so she started making them, but as she was doing it, she's got diabetes. And as she started to do it, she started to want to share her diabetes journey. And then she also starts to share a little bit about her daughter and her daughter's health issues as well. So what's happened is she's now got a kind of triad of things going on, but she's always pushing her product. But because people engage with her story and with her diabetes and her journey, and a lot of people with diabetes now follow her, and there's a whole sort of element of it. She doesn't push it like too far, but that's made her stand out quite a lot. So I think you guys are kind of touching on that. And for me, so I started doing lip sync videos, and it was brilliant. And it was like I did it by mistake, but I was like, oh, this is working quite well. And so I kind of made a strategic thing where I sort of decided to keep it and do it sort of with people who are going to pay you and build into that. So the money thing I think is really important, and just finding where your revenue is going to come from specific to your business. And then I would recommend a book called Profit First, which I was saying to Rachel about earlier, which I wish I'd read at the beginning. It's not always easy in the first year, but it's basically where you change the formula from sales minus expenses equals profit to sales minus profit equals expenses. So it sounds quite simple, but it's actually very difficult in practice, because what you're basically doing is, as you're getting someone pay you, literally every invoice, you're putting a small percentage into the business profit, which is not what you get. That's like just what's going to tide over to the next year for your business, and that on paper is going to be your business profit. Then you pay the next percentage, and then the book's brilliant because it breaks it down per income of how much percentage to use, and it's a good sort of starting guide. And then you pay your salary, which is often small because depending on your income, it goes up and down. And then you put it into taxes, like you save it in the taxes, and then whatever's left is expenses. And if there's not enough left in expenses, then you need to find an investor, or you need to find some kind of loan, like business loan, or you decide to put your salary back into it, and you decide to invest back in. But you start at the beginning thinking, I am worth money out of my business. So it's a whole mentality that I think has been really good for me now. So I definitely recommend that book. Profit First.
Profit First.
And it's just,